psychological manipulation to convince a person to either release information or to do some action that benefits the attacker, or the hacker in this case. And you can have the best technologies that money can buy, right? You can have the best firewalls, intrusion detection systems. Here's, very popular, like this RSA secure ID tokens, right? You can have all this technology companies spend thousands of dollars on, yet if I can call one person inside a company and manipulate them, it bypasses all the technology. So now that I'm a hacker that's become a security consultant, right, I see a lot of people, a lot of businesses out there that only focus on the technology, right? They don't focus on the people or the processes. So where do the hackers go? After the low-hanging fruit, because it's easier to attack. So when I'm speaking for corporations about this subject, I try to encourage them to have a meaningful and effective security program. You need to think about technology, processes, and people. And only by a combination of all three can you really reduce the threat. So, why do hackers use social engineering? Because it's easier than hacking a system or exploiting a technical vulnerability. Unless you could download exploit code from Milware, then maybe that's easier. But if the truth be known, most of the attacks are hybrid, meaning that the hacker uses social engineering when it's expedient and exploits a technical vulnerability and combines it. Now, mind you, I don't know how many of you know of Milware. That's a site that posts exploit code, but usually that's for a particular operating system running in a particular environment, maybe at a particular service pack level, maybe if only certain binaries exist on the system or certain packages are installed. So it's sometimes work to get that exploit working for the environment that you want to attack. It's much easier for the hacker to make a telephone call, to send an email, to gain access to those systems. Social engineering evades every intrusion detection system on the market. If any of you know of any, I'd like to know. Right? It's free or low cost. Why? Because the attacker is sending an email, which is free, or they're calling on your company's toll-free number, so the company's paying for the call. It's low risk, because nobody protects themselves against this type of attack. It works on every OS system platform, right? Ubuntu, Leopard, Windows, it doesn't matter. There are no logs. There's no audit trail. It's about 99.9% effective. What was it, about 2 years ago, I was invited to a conference in the States, and a CIO of a major bank invited me to lunch, and she told me that she put her employees through this intensive security awareness training program, specifically about the threat of social engineering. A month later, she hires another company to test her people. It took 11 phone calls before that company was able to break into the bank's network just using social engineering. But everyone here knows the most important thing, right? You still can't go to Windows Update and download a patch for stupidity, can you? No, right? But who is the real problem? It's the users, right? There's a conference out of the UK called the Info Security Conference, and every year they go to London's Waterloo Station, the train station, and they go with gifts. A couple years ago, they went with boxes of free pens, and they would offer people a free pen in exchange for their password. How many people do you think comply? 9 out of 10. Mind you, do you know if it's a real password? Who knows? But probably people couldn't care less because they figured, well, this person doesn't know me. 9 out of 10. So the next year, they went back to London's Waterloo Station and they went with chocolate Easter eggs. Same thing, 7 out of 10 comply. This last conference they changed tacks. They decided they wanted to get enough information about a person to steal their identity, to get access to their bank account. So instead of going to the train station, they went to the theatrical district, with clipboards, right? The guy with the clipboard doing the survey. If you answer the survey, you get a free ticket to the theater. So what they would ask people is, the first question they'd ask is, what's your name? Everybody says, yeah, my name is so-and-so. Okay, they fill it out. Then the next question would be, well, what's your date of birth? People would feel uncomfortable. Well, why do you need to know my date of birth? That's kind of sensitive. Well, you have to be 18 years or older to qualify, so we need your date of birth. All right, over 90% of people gave their date of birth. This one kills me. Well, first they asked, where did you go to school? Because you look like an actor, or you look like an actress if they're talking to a girl. Did you go to drama school? No, I went to such and such school. So now they have the name of the school. Then I would say, well, in movies, actresses and actors come up with stage names. And how they do this is they combine their mother's maiden name with their pet's name. They come up with their stage name. What would yours be? Now these gullible people are giving out their mother's maiden name and pet's name. And at the end of the survey, again, over 90% of the people answered all the questions. You had enough information to pose as that person to their bank and pretty much, do wire transfers or whatnot. So the real problem out there is people love giving out information. Have you went to MySpace or Facebook or Twitter lately? People give out a lot of information on there that some attacker could use to their benefit. All right. I show this picture every time I speak throughout the world, right? And guess where I took this picture? Right here in your hometown of Bogota. And what I did, they go, what's wrong with this picture? I went into ComCell to get a prepaid SIM card, right? And I kind of spot stupid things people do. So of course, this girl is wearing her RSA Secure ID around her neck, facing me, so I could see her token code. But that by itself is not good. You still need the PIN. But when I asked for her to create, set me up with my prepaid SIM card, I saw her type in her PIN like this. So now I have her PIN. Anytime I want to get access to ComCell's network, I now have her RSA Secure ID token. That's it. Why do people wear their passwords around their neck? I don't know. Because they can, right? So, when you hear about social engineering in the press, it's usually about some teenager that calls somebody up over the telephone and asks them for their password. That's what you hear about, but that's very amateurish and basic. These type of attacks go from something simplistic, that's a 30-second phone call, to something that takes place over days, weeks, and months. So, I don't know how many of you in the audience here are hackers, but if you're using social engineering, what is the best department to call at a company? I don't know about in Bogota, but I know about in Europe and the United States. The number one department to contact is the help desk. Why? Because they're there to help you. So, 10 years ago, I could call the help desk and pose as you and ask them to reset my password because of whatever reason. And the help desk technician would do it because they relied on the secrecy of the help desk number, that wasn't public. So if you're calling in on that number, you must be legit. Well, companies have gotten a lot smarter now, right? So let's just go up, that's very amateurish, let's just go up one rung of the ladder. So how does it work today? Is the attacker goes to the business's website. They find out names and titles of people that work in the company, but more importantly, they have a particular target already in mind. Maybe it's Johnny in R&D, but they need some throwaway name. Somebody that works at the company that they can care less about. So then they call the help desk. Now they pose as Billy in the mailroom. Hey, this is Billy in the mailroom. I changed my password the other day, but I can't seem to log in or authenticate to the network. And they would say, okay, Billy, I need to verify who you are. So what is the last 4 digits of your social security number? I know in Colombia, they have like your ID number. Or what's your employee number? Or what's your driver's license number? Or some question, right? So Billy goes, oh, okay, hold on 1 second. Puts the help desk on hold, lets him sit there for a good minute or two, comes back and says, listen, I just got an urgent call I have to take care of. I'll call you back later. Call ends, right? Now, what does Billy know, or the hacker know, is what the question is to authenticate as an employee. What I found in my consulting is the question is always the same at a particular company. They never change it. So now let's say let's say you have to know the target's employee number. Then you go out and you try to acquire that information through social engineering or whatever. And once you're armed with that piece of information, if they're using a driver's license number or an ID number, you can probably get that off the internet. Then you call back at a different date and time. Hopefully they get a different technician. And this time, you're posing as the real target, where you got where you found out the information to authenticate as them. Pose as the real target, the help desk technician asks a question, you have the proper answer. Now, let's say the password is reset for somebody in R&D. Well, here's the problem. The hacker can get access to the account, but the real person doesn't have knowledge of their new password, right? So what does the attacker do? They call the victim. Hi, this is Gabe over in the help desk. We had to reset your password today to LAN party. And by the way, we had some network difficulties, so please don't change it for the next 7 to 10 days. And you would think this is really stupid and really basic, but the scary thing is it still works, and it's effective 85% of the time. Something that simple and easy. And that's because companies always ask the same question. Not all companies together, but that one single company. An objective of an attacker is not just to get passwords, but to get an account. Maybe calling the IT department, or calling the help desk, or somebody who has authority to create accounts. Now, you would think that a hacker would want an administrator account root or administrator under Windows, but it doesn't matter, because if the attacker is able to get a user account, then they'll use a technical vulnerability to escalate privileges. So that's kind of a hybrid attack, getting the account through social engineering, and then through technical exploitation, getting privileges added to that account. Same thing with access rights, right? There was one company, Novell, and one hacker had gotten into the company, and through technical vulnerabilities, and then they were able to make a phone call to the right department to get additional access rights added to that account they had compromised that gave them access to confidential information like the source code to their product. So those are basic attacks. Here's a two-step attack. This is the first step, is where the attacker builds trust and credibility. That's the first step of the attack. And the second is where the actual attack takes place, where they get what they want. So this happened at a real company when I was doing my unethical hacking years ago. I won't name the company in this particular case. But how I was able to do it is this company was huge, and employees had their own telephone extensions. And I figured that the telecom department would be happy to reset my voicemail password without any authentication, which is even true today at some large companies. So what I did is I found the name of an employee that actually went on vacation for a couple weeks. I called up the telecom department, and I told them I was that employee and I needed to reset my voicemail password. They reset it to the last 4 digits of the telephone number as usual. And then what I did is I recorded my voice as that person on a new outgoing greeting. So now I was Gabe Nault. Hi, this is Gabe Nault. Thank you for calling. I'm not able to answer the phone right now. Please leave your message at the tone. It's my voice. with an authorized extension inside the company. First step of the attack. Second step was calling an engineer and asking him to move the source code to a particular cellular phone to a server that I had access to. Well, this is a very unusual request. So the engineer goes, well, who are you again? Well, I'm Gabe Knoll. Well, what's your telephone number, Gabe? And I gave him the internal number at the company. He goes, I'll call you right back. I said, listen, I'm running into a meeting. I'll probably be 1 or 2 hours, but if you can go ahead and just call me back, you'll hear my voice, leave me a message, and just go ahead and do what I ask, we'll be good. And that's exactly what he did. He called back, heard the same voice that just talked to him on the outgoing greeting, and assumed that I was legit. So there's kind of an example of a two-step social engineering attack. Everybody knows about phishing, right? Who here hasn't been phished? But it's evolving, it's changing a little bit. This was just a week ago, I was on Skype, and the security center has detected a problem with my computer. And of course it's Windows, but I'm running a Mac, so go figure, right? And of course they want you to click on this hyperlink. A lot of people fall for this. Typical social engineering phishing attack. When you click on that hyperlink, and you go to that particular site, it's going to try to exploit a number of vulnerabilities against your browser. Because there's a lot of different exploit packs out there. So this is old stuff. This has been around for ages. So we'll go to the new. Oh, here's another